use these supplied fuel fittings, guys, when you take your tank off. That's what they're for. They are designed to cover your fuel lines from getting dirt in on both ends. So I always use them. They come with your bike. You might as well do the same. So first little piece of maintenance after I've taken the tank off, I'm going to take that little inline filter out, give it a clean, inspect it, replace it if I need to, or put it back in. Pretty simple job. It's going to take a little 3 mil or maybe a 2 mil Allen key. Just stick it in that little filter hole and gently sort of pry to the side as I'm pulling out. Pretty simple job. So tank's off, box is stuffed, seats off. I'll go ahead and start cleaning all this and get it nice and showroom-like. And probably going to take the complete oil pump assembly apart, the tray, both the sensors. Just put them on the bench, clean them off, inspect them again, have a look at them, and put them back together. Get a little chafing here. Not too bad. No, it's just dirt. Okay. All right, that's my inline filter. It looks fine. Really clean. I'll just give it a little blowout and a rinse, or vice versa, and continue using it. So all you do, guys, is when this is in its housing on the bike, just stick the rounded end of an Allen key. I think it's a 3 mil. Just sort of stick it in here a little ways and just pry back and forth as you're pulling out towards you, and pops right out. Okay, get the pipe off, and good time to tell us what the cylinder's looking like. Let's see if I can kick this over with my left hand. Pretty good. I don't see any markings on that. Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Another little tidbit here. I got a cylinder saver. Have seen a couple incidences, probably very few, relatively speaking, of cracked cylinder heads where the pipe goes in. Simple install, good peace of mind. As I guess the intake is known to crack the top of the cylinder. So another little piece I've added, but looks good inside there so far. Alright, started cleaning up the left side a little bit as I go. I just used toothbrush, some WD-40. Start with a rag first and a good finger job, and then go over it with the toothbrush a little bit, and I'll do the right side here now. Is this more than needs to be done? Well, maybe for some, maybe not for others. I do it, always have done it. I love a clean bike because A, I like clean, and B, it just makes it easier to continue cleaning it. So, and plus it makes it way easier to work on and see what needs to be worked on. So I'll get at this. All right, got her a little more cleaned up. Pretty decent job. Now I can start doing some more tear down. A little bit of WD-40, some toothbrush action, and some elbow grease, and looking fairly clean. Blew out the radiator. The other side, got the pipe off, cleaned out the air box, took out the ECU, cleaned underneath that cavity, a few other spots. To work. So I had a kickstart put on this bike when I got it, and the kickstart has never really returned well. So I decided to take it off and have a look at it. It was pretty grimy in there. I cleaned it up with some emery cloth. I had no idea, however, what come out of the kickstarter. I've never had one off before. So there's the kickstarter itself, and of course the screw that holds it in place. And then there's the rubber O-ring that comes sits on the bottom of the actual kickstarter mechanism that's on the bike, and a ball and a spring. So I clean those all up. I'll add some grease to this guy here, put a little grease inside that, and put everything back together and see if that's got a little better return to it. And that is much better. Like, I could hardly even move this before. I mean, it was sticking bad. So anyway, I took this fastener off and raised this up off the connection down here. I had to use a soft hammer to tap this up because there's a rubber O-ring in here. But that wasn't the big deal. That little spring, there's a hole inside this shaft that this kicker sits on. So if I take this off, there's a shaft here, and on the back side of it, there's a hole that goes into the shaft. There's a screw that you saw on the table, and then there's that little ball that sits on the screw. That's why this comes off a little harder. So anyway, I put the O-ring on the kickstart, greased everything up, cleaned it, greased everything, put the O-ring in, put the spring back in the hole, and held the ball on as I used my other hand and just gently forced this down, and cleaned up with some grease. That is finger, like I couldn't, it was really notchy and bindy before. I had to put it out, with your hand, and now it should spring right back in. I'm not going to pull it through because I got a rag in the, but I tried it without the rag in and kicked it down and it sprung right back up into place again. So a little bit of maintenance there, good idea.